Hi guys, this is Vidas.
And Ausra.
Let's start episode 198 of Ask Vidas and Ausra podcast. This question was sent by Austin and he writes, I am just with 4 years of experience, but I have only played mainly 4-part hymns and Handel works. Currently, I transcribed Handel's Dettingen Te Deum into solfa notation for my choir, and I am just learning the organ part because that's the book we wish to perform this year. After that, save learning pieces such as For unto us, O thou that tellest, and the Gloria all by Handel. I want to study Bach works, and most especially the ones without pedal part, because over here pipe organ is not easily accessible. I have an organ tutor, but no way of practicing it. So I need your advice on how to go about it. Over here Bach works are not popularly studied, it's just mainly Handel, few Mozarts, Henry Purcell, etc. Most especially chorus works. Interesting, Ausra, situation.
Yes.
That Handel is more popular than Bach.
Sounds like English tradition to me.
Could be. Especially choir tradition, right?
Yes. And Handel too, who worked in England almost all his life.
So he struggles probably with finding a way of practicing from an organ tutor, from a method book.
Yes, and also, finding an organ with a pedal, as I understood too.
I see. If you didn't have Ausra pedals in your situations at church, let's say, right? What would you do? Would you play just on the piano, keyboard, or something else?
Well, yes, I would play on the piano keyboard. But maybe I would just draw myself a pedal board. And practice imaginary pedals too. It depends on the situation in life, for everybody it's different. But in that way, I probably would just, select manual pieces.
Yeah, for now, like chorale partitas by maybe Pachelbel, maybe Krebs, right?
Yes, there are many collections of wonderful, music, keyboard music without a pedal. All the Fitzwilliam original book, 2 volumes of it. That collection doesn't have any pedals. Most of the pieces by, Jean-Peter Sonsvelling has no pedals. Most of it, not all.
People seem to hesitate to practice on paper pedals, right? It's very easy. You just print out a few sheets with real size pedals printed on them, and then you cut out the borders, right? And then glue those sheets together with the tape, and then you have an imaginary pedal board, as Osha said. And then you can put it on the floor next to the keyboard that you're playing. Or if you don't have a keyboard, you could just work on the table.
But as I understood, Austin has a keyboard but doesn't have a pedal.
And people who don't use this method, paper method, say that they don't know if they're hitting the right pedals, right? If they're not making mistakes because those pedals are not sounding. To which I would reply, it doesn't matter. What matters is your effort. What matters is your muscle movements.
Yes, because your coordination still works that way if you're playing, and when you will get to the real instrument, you will see that it's not as hard as you thought it will be.
Because you still will hit approximate distances. If you're hitting middle C, you will not be hitting some middle G, the tenor G, a fifth higher, because you will have a feeling where this middle C is. So maybe you will hit B or D next to it, but it's still very close. So we did an experiment, I think, at the beginning of our Undamare studio. In the first, I think, lessons, there were maybe 10 people in the rehearsal and only one organ. So I brought paper pedals and paper manuals and we put it on the balcony. And I think one person played the organ and everybody else played the same exercise together, in the same rhythm. And I was conducting even, I think, like a choir, those 10 people, but only one person made a sound, and everybody else played on the paper. And then, after a few rounds of playing that exercise, I asked a random person who never ever played a real organ before to play this particular exercise with pedals on the real organ. Guess what happened, Osha?
He could do it.
She could do it. It was our friend Erika, and she almost didn't make a mistake. Maybe once, but it was like a miracle, right?
Yes, so this is a good way, to practice if you don't have a real organ and a real pedal.
Exactly.
Because you never know when the situation in your life will change and maybe you will get an access to a real instrument.
Of course, this is temporary solution, or maybe when you are traveling, right? Never skip an organ practice just because you don't have an access to an instrument. Carry those simple sheets with you all the time, and you can adjust to the situation. Or if you don't have paper pedals, you can still pound those imaginary pedals with your feet on the floor, right?
True.
In approximate spaces. Then you can have inner hearing how the piece is sounding. Maybe you could improve your pitch this way.
Yes.
Could a person like Austin sing the bass part?
Yes, this is a solution too, and a good one.
Remember, we lived in the summer cottage for a few months, and we didn't have pedals at all, just
Yes.
the piano. So my voice is low, and I would play the piano parts, the manual parts on the piano, and I would sing the bass part and play with my feet on the floor. That's it. That's how I prepared for many recitals.
True.
Excellent. Um, how else we could inspire people today? Um, he wrote that he transcribed Handel's Dettingen Te Deum. That's very nice practice, transcribing choral and orchestral works. Don't you think, Osha?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, especially if you have a choir, right? If you have a group of people who would be interested in singing it. Sometimes you have to adjust the scoring. Maybe if you have two voices, maybe women's voice and the men's parts, maybe you could then select soprano and the bass only.
Yes.
From the given score. What if you have only one voice, Usha? What would you do then? I mean, single voice choir where everybody sings just one line, cannot hold separate voice parts.
Well, then you would just write down an accompaniment, in full harmony, for voice harmony.
Based on that original.
Yes.
And people could sing probably soprano line most of the time.
Yes, definitely.
What is the melody?
Sure. That way the piece would be the most recognizable.
What about if you have three-part choir? What would you do?
I think it would work just well.
Without which part? Tenor or alto?
Well, good question. You could do either way.
Or you could adjust the middle voice so that you sometimes play alto and sometimes tenor, depending whether or not the chord is complete.
Yes.
What do you mean the chord is complete? What does it take to make a chord complete?
You have to have, the root.
Yes. Like in C major, C.
Yes. And if it's a triad chord, you have to have E and G, and then C repeated.
Right. So at least 3 notes should be
Sure.
sounding.
But you could do either C, E. If you have only 3 voices, you could do either C, E, G, or you could do C, E, C, and omit G.
Omit the fifth.
Yes.
Because the third is what?
Yes,
what
matters.
Yeah.
Because the thought from the bass, it shows us if it's major or it's a minor chord. And this is most important.
Good idea. I hope Austin and other people can apply that in their practice, in their transcriptions, and make the life of their choir more interesting.
Yes.
They will appreciate their efforts for sure. Thank you so much, guys, for listening and to applying our tips in your practice. We love helping you grow, so please send us more of your questions. This was Vidas.
And Usha.
And remember, when you practice,
Miracles happen.